should be here shortly. Let's start with an update. Department, please.
All right, good evening, Mayor Pro Tem and Representative Hoskins. So as you know, we met our timeliness for HUD and their timeliness test the beginning of May. So we're good. We will be receiving all of our allocation for fiscal year 19, which we actually probably won't receive before October per conversations with HUD. But before we get the money and can begin spending the money, we have to do what is called our annual action plan. So I just wanted to give you a quick little proposed timeline for us to get that process going. So the annual action plan is just an outline of how we're going to expend the funds. We were awarded for fiscal year 19 $421,406 with which to do projects. So those monies have to capture the project, but also the administration of the projects. So everything within that budget goes to fund our department. But in order for us to put our annual action plan together and then to submit it to HUD, now there was one that was tentatively submitted as condition of the special conditions that the city had gone through due to the excess funds that we had and the reprogramming that was needed. However, for us to have our annual action plan approved through HUD, there are some steps that we need to take. We need to hold 2 public meetings, and we need to solicit community and public input in order for us to show that this is a plan that the body and community all agree to as well. So what we're proposing is the first public hearing to be held at a special meeting of Planning and Economic Development Committee that would potentially either be on June 10th or June 13th. And then to have an additional hearing at the July 24th Planning and Economic Development Committee meeting. Then we would have between the June special meeting and the July meeting would be our 30-day comment period, so that those individuals who weren't present in the meeting could submit comments in writing to our office regarding the plan. They could come to the office, review the plan, and then we would submit for consideration to the body our plan as it's been formalized on August 5th. All this will be in keeping with a submission deadline of August 16th for the annual action plan. So that's what we're proposing to do.
What is your office hours, if you don't mind?
8:30 to 5.
Every
Monday to Friday.
Okay, cool. Thank you. Thank you for that presentation. Clerk, could you note that Vice Chair Commissioner Mary Alzheimer is here?
Yes.
Also let me know that Commissioner Henry is here. Was that a apprenticeship? What program? Through. Alright, do me a favor, I'm not gonna be here all night. Is the gentleman here with the feasibility study? No, not you. I'm talking about city villages. Marion County Equalization Department, is he here? Scratch him from the agenda, which will be number 2. And then add to the end the apprenticeship program from the local 355. Appreciate you, Sean. Appreciate you being here tonight.
Happy to be here.
Thank you. Already completed number 1. Next, let's discuss number 4, youth homelessness, and then we'll yield the floor after that to Commissioner for presentation of feasibility study.
Actually, Chairman Seats, if we can move that forward to the next committee meeting, youth homelessness. I would, however, like to ask for just a brief discussion, if in fact, if any funding comes through, that the city, I guess that's what I need to do. If we could put together a resolution to accept or apply for any funding that comes through for homelessness. I've noticed that there's been quite a few in the activity of the Obama Foundation that they send me updates on.
Thank you, Commissioner Adams. Is this even on? It's on, yeah. I can't hear myself.
We can hear you.
Got water. No, I'm good. I'm all right. Community Economic Development Director, is there any way by the next meeting you can tell us if there's any grants available
I can search.
for youth homelessness? There it is. Thank you.
I'm trying to let you know, Chairman Seats, that I personally get these emails, being a point of contact, and then I know that they become available if in fact we can put something together that we can apply for them.
Can we, okay, so by next meeting, we'll have some legs with that. There's some documentation, paperwork, but please still, a question, I should have asked this during the update. Do we give any money to downtown? The Arts District?
No.
There's no money that comes from our CDBG?
Cornerstone.
If you can step to the mic if you want to say something.
From CDBG.
Any money come out of CDBG, through the chair, any money come out of CDBG money goes downtown to the Arts District, any of those entities that work down there?
The only one that gets anything that's close to that is the Southwest Michigan Community Action Agency, and that's the sub-recipient agreement for housing rehab. But other than that, no.
When does that expire?
Question becomes, the chair to not city manager, well, to the city manager, because when does that expire?
That was through the first, that group of readjusted annual action plans. It was approved that the Southwest Community Action Agency would help do and facilitate the first round of housing rehab, and I think we're almost done with those, if I'm not mistaken. But we got 2 left? Okay, there's 2 left. So once that's done, then they're with us, yeah.
So they have 2 more?
Yes.
And is there any way possible that we can have before and after pictures? And can we post them? So people can know what we're doing from the city of Benton Harbor and not from the Community Action Agency, because I don't want them to, people have a funny way of not giving everybody the proper respect that they deserve, so.
And the elected officials are sleeping on it.
Thank you so much. You're right, exactly right. So we're gonna bring youth homelessness to the next meeting. Can you note that, clerk, that that'll be on the agenda for the next meeting? Next, we're going to the presentation for the feasibility study. Don Meeks, I believe you have, if every commission, every body on this should have a pamphlet of Beach's Restaurant, and he wants them all back when we get done with them. Yeah.
Got some paperwork for the citizens?
Mr. Duncan, if you want one, you can have mine.
I'll take yours.
Want it back.
Yeah, I'll just give it back to him.
Okay, well, first of all, I want to say, I got 6 copies, so I want to get all
Get
the
every
copies
one of them
back.
back.
Okay, now, this way, I want to explain this as I go. I probably need a
Please,
copy.
please, everybody, this is a presentation. Give him the respect that you would want if you present it.
Well, this young lady right here got to get it with me because it's kind of her idea.
Could you grab the mic there, if you would, please, Ms. Meeks?
Well, okay.
Just so we can have you on record.
It's kind of hard.
It's all right.
Okay.
There you go.
Okay, so what you have there is a feasibility study that was supposed to have been presented to you in December. I do apologize, it took longer than I expected, but it's just a projection of what our mission is and what we want to see for the city of Benton Harbor to partner with, as you will. It will take a lot of funding to put this project together. Our guesstimation is about $7 million. And we project that 5 to 7 million will go back to the city, contingent upon who you would have to,
Well, let me correct you as you go. 5 to 7 million is expected revenues
Right.
from this project right here. And I believe that it's probably gonna be booked a couple years out in advance. But one of the things that are unique that we wanna do here is every Sunday, we wanna have a church service there. For the churches that's in Benton Harbor, we can have church service there and with a reduced rate on the food. And then we have an offering plate that's kind of offset some of the costs. But one of the things that I noticed over the years, I remember now back in '68, that's quite a while ago, '66, we hung out at the beach all the time. You know, when some trouble would happen, and then basically they redeveloped the beach. But they actually made the beach where we couldn't use our beach. Nobody wanted to park out in the middle of the parking lot and then come back to the car, somebody broke into it or something, so we quit using it. One of the things that I want to get back is for us to come back and start using our beach again. So now it's at a point that we can use our beach. But now I want to kind of put like the grand finale with the points out. This is something, what you're looking at, there's nowhere in the country that's like this. And I'm going to tell you right there, and it costs some money for me to do this. And I have not asked the city for one dime. Only thing I've asked you for permission to do it for you. But I like to market this for you, and I like to make this work. I've got players that want to come and get involved with this project right here, and I want to kind of explain how this goes. At the top one up here, if you can see the top picture, that's about 2,500 square foot. Now, I want to keep another second one down here. It's I projected to be 10,000, but it ended up being 13,000 square foot. Then the next one, 13,000 square foot. Now, I want you to pay attention to something that look like silos. One on each side, and it's got some kind of art stuff that Benton Harbor is known for the art too. So up on top, we got world-renowned Richard Hunt here. I would kind of like to have his sculptures up top of that silo. Okay? Now at the bottom, let's say you got another 13,000 square foot. Projected to be 10, but it just come out like that. But in these silos, right here, I'm gonna set it in silos, there's elevators and stairways. Now, it don't have to go up as high as it's going, but that's for aesthetics, for looks. Okay? Now you see like a deck, I'm gonna point at it, but if I get too far from the mic, my voice don't project. Okay, so this is the deck right, this is the deck right here that's unique. And this is a little closer to water than it actually is, but it's not. But this can also be made bigger. That's minor.
Yeah.
Automated elevator system for the food. It comes down, be able to each one. On the top, the very top, there's a special place like for 40. I think it's in the pack, if you can see. It's like to C40. Okay. Well, also I want to let you know I have never in my life done nothing like this. But everybody seems to think that this Savior come from somewhere else. I've been here all my life, and my life is dedicated to Benton Harbor. And like I say, I won't see the use for this right now. I'll be gone, but I've got 8 grandkids that's here. And they live in this city, and they go to basic Benton Harbor schools. So at the point, I want to leave something for them here, and also your kids.
But the reason for all of this planning is so that our children's children can benefit from it. This beach, as I was brought here from South Bend. So this beach I understand belongs to the city. And so we just want to make it benefit the city. And everyone can benefit by either renting one of the ballrooms or maybe even having weddings there, venue. We have nothing here that is going to give the people what they need. You know what I'm saying, as far as dinners. We've been planning to have, hopefully they will bring like chefs here so that they can teach our children how to cook. Culinary arts, classes, arts, and such. So if you can read that over and give those back, the only reason why we are asking those back is because we want first right of refusal.
To do the development for you.
Or to help with the development.
Right. But I want to let you know, we do have some interested parties in coming forward with this and making this a reality.
How much land are you talking about as far as this development? Is it gonna be a couple acres, 5 acres, 10 acres?
No, I want you to picture where the pavilion and the restrooms and all this stuff is there. Now, I didn't point out that this is built right over the top of it. And that same thing, where we got all the infrastructure, the water, the sewer, electric, everything is right there to make this happen. Everything's there, but you probably don't see what's behind it. I'm gonna point at it. Right here. That's where the pavilion exists and that's where it will stay. This is over top of it. So we're not taking no more room from the park. What we're doing, we're developing exactly what we have there. Now, like I say, I've been in the building industry for quite a while. My wife has been in the restaurant industry for a while. And we've been pretty good and successful at businesses. So my thing is, I want to give something back. I've done things over the years in this city, never asked a dime for it. I've done it because of my love here. At the point, one of the things that I'm also on the board in the city, the income tax, to kind of give my expertise back on the road millage. I mean, on the income tax millage, what to do with the money at the point. But we got something going on here. I just want y'all to know that. But Ben Harbor, nobody in this country and no black city in this country have nothing like this. I don't know if they got anything like that in Dubai. I don't know, but maybe they do. I haven't been there. But I bet you don't have nothing like that in the USA. Yeah. Okay.
Let me just say this, it's similar, but it's not that, only because of the water that we have here. We were able to take some of the ideas that we've seen other places and bring here. So that's where all of this is coming from, is visions that he and I both had at other places that we visited, and that's what we did. So, you done? Thank you for your time.
Questions? Anybody got questions?
I have a question.
Yes.
And please feel free, you don't have to stand, I already know.
Wouldn't it? I don't know if it's
Well,
there or
I
not.
have a short question.
Sure.
Will this,
Please state your name for the mic, please, sir.
my name is Mr. Duncan,
Thank you.
Mr. James Duncan.
Yes, Mr. James.
Will this business, will it be black owned and operated? Because that's what, I'm not finished yet.
Okay, well, you're gonna give me more to.
No, I'm not
Can I
gonna
ask
ask
one
you,
minute?
I'm not gonna ask you another question.
Okay,
I'm just gonna make a statement.
okay.
We have no black-owned operated businesses, and this is a city where we outpopulate everybody in this city. And we don't have a place, we do have a place to call our own, and it's called Gene Clark Park. I'd like for it to be run and operated. I don't care who works there, but as long as it's owned and operated by mostly our people. That's my thought and my hope, that it turns out like that, because we have a precious beach and everybody is lined up to do what you wanna do. Not now,
Okay.
but you can expect it later.
Right, okay.
So, but we want you. I know I do.
Okay, let me just answer this. All of this is all inclusive. So whether you're,
I'm
okay,
not understanding.
okay, so if
Let him respond though.
You let me talk to these people if I can through the chair.
Talk to him outside.
I'll talk to you.
No, talk to him outside. We're not gonna have a one-on-one
Okay,
conversation.
so if someone comes with a five-star restaurant, whether it be black, white, or indifferent, those are the people that are going to make this project last. Because what we're proposing or asking is for you to give us 50-year lease, or for the city to get their money back, and for some of the developers to get part of their monies back. Is to make that known that it could be Hispanic, whatever you are, but we want a five-star restaurant in our area. So we're not doing black, white, purple, green, whatever, okay?
You can call that what you want to, but I'm looking out for us in particular.
And we will be included.
Well, us to be included, us has always gonna own that.
Well,
This is not something that we're gonna
We
sell
can't
to
sell that,
somebody
they can't
else.
sell it to anybody.
I
This is gonna be
understand that.
owned by the city of Benton
I
Harbor.
understand, yeah, I'm
And
just
most
trying
likely the people working there is gonna come from the city of Benton Harbor.
Oh, that's what I want to
Correct,
hear.
not only that,
That's what
we're
I'm
gonna
gonna
have
have.
Benton Harbor area schools to have students that do culinary. So we're gonna teach them something also.
I'm gonna
So
love
that's
it.
part of the training for our kids.
Thanks
Now-
for your time.
Everybody's not going to college. All the kids not going to college. All the kids probably not smart enough to go to college. And some of our kids don't want to go to college. So if they want to go this, let's give them an option.
Well, let's do this. Alright.
Thank
Any
you.
other questions?
Well, this is a government meeting, this ain't, we're not at the pool hall. If you got something to say, now, if you keep on going, Mr. Duncan,
If you keep on going messing with me, I'm gonna tell you something here.
you're going against
And then I
progress,
can
sir.
be escorted out if you keep messing with me, though.
You're going against progress, sir.
Leave me alone then.
I'm setting guidelines for everybody else besides you.
Just leave me alone.
Well,
That's what you do.
that's what you do. You go to everybody else's meeting and act like that.
I go to anybody's meeting and have
All
a
right,
voice.
I appreciate
have my
that.
3 minutes every meeting I go to.
When you come to this meeting, would you please do me a favor? And come to the mic, like everybody else does, and go through the chair like everybody else does and should do.
You wanna reprimand, I'll reprimand you to your mama, because you getting on my nerves. You getting on my nerves.
Mr. Henry,
You are getting on my
we
nerves,
all,
young
we
man.
automatically talk about the parliamentary
Telling
law
you to leave me
procedure.
alone, you ain't hearing me.
Don't
I
call
told
my
you that
name.
before. I told you that
You in it
before.
deep and you dig it.
All right,
You
well,
digging
listen.
the ditch.
Be a little media, I'm
Thank
a
you for the
little media.
presentation. Sorry for the ignorance.
You was the one with ignorant.
Come on, Dr. Chance, you have
Any
something.
other questions? I'm sorry.
Yes, okay, so let's
Ignorant ass.
go back over some clarification now. We said 13, is that 1,300, 13,000 square? 13,000 square feet, so that's adding to, basically, it's taking over what's existing there, expanding out a little
It's not
bit.
taking over.
No, that's, if you follow what I'm saying, listen, what happens is, basically, the terminology is that it's basically a model being placed over a model that's of an existing structure, which is gonna cause some expansion, which may go out to 13,000 feet. 15,000 feet is still acceptable, in terms of the plan that may be needed for the adjustments, in terms of ADA handicap, those type of things. So I want to be clear first on the measurements. The other point in terms of, right, that it's ownership and that you, of the city, and so basically going into a contractual agreement with the city to, one, to market for developers, to get the funds to be able to do this. And that's gonna be on your side, and what you're basically asking is a relationship with the city to go out, get developers, to be able to get this work constructed, and then basically have a relationship where you put back, or like leasing or paying for use to the city of Benton Harbor for a period over 50 years, so that that the developers and the constructors, whoever involved, will be able to recoup their loss or their investment. So I want to make sure that I'm clear on that. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. The next point that you had pointed out is that right now that the ownership is going to reflect Benton Harbor, and it was your will and your desire to make sure that this is follows the guidelines of any other city and other community. All communities in America reflect in their population. White communities, all of their businesses tend to be white, Hispanics, Hispanic, Arab, Asian. So all you're doing is follow the national standard that every other community that normally does. And that's what you're saying. And in terms of hiring and firing to that effect. The other point that was done was that right now, is there any idea for expansion of the player area, because now you're doing more adult, but you also want to preserve the children portion of it as well? Is there any plans to expand
The only
that part for
thing
the
I would
children?
like to, excuse me, Dr. Time, only thing I would like to expand is probably the lower deck. The one thing maybe for concerts, maybe. The lower deck, but the other one is plenty big enough. 13,000 square foot each floor is plenty big enough for just about anything. Yeah, so, but the bottom, at the front, if you know this right here, it shows closer to the water than it actually is. It's not that close to the water. It's not. But that was done by the architect to show you the effects of the building.
Thank you, Mr.
Okay,
Williams.
last thing is, okay, so in your environmental study, because now you're gonna have increased waste and sewage, and that's also taken into account, correct?
That's correct.
All right, thank you.
Commissioner Adams, same,
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Thank you for the vision. Thank you for seeking to bring more revenue into the city of Benton Harbor and seeking investors to help bring such a beautiful thing to fruition. I like the idea that you're going to build over what will be redone as well, the existing
Yes.
shower and baths that will remain for the beachgoers. I visualize that possibility going all the way out to the water with the hopes that we could have some big ships come through like they do over at Navy Pier.
Well,
I hope and pray, my greatest desire is that coming out of a time and era where white signs as opposed to blacks only, whites only, that I never that this nation never returns to that.
right.
But that we can live in peace and harmony amongst one another until something else greater happens. And if some of the investors happen to be white, blight, whatever, we need growth. And we all should be trying to grow together. And I just want to thank you. My question is, what's your next step
But
for
next
the
step,
city
I
government?
would like, the next step would be with the city. That's what my next step would like to be at the point. So I kind of see like this going into maybe MEDC. Maybe they can fund that. But the build out, I want whoever gets that to do the build out, because they want to make it build out the way they want it to look. It's gonna be projected like 5 million. Then it could be another couple million that's gonna go into the build out, inside, interior, whatever you want. Now this glass is high tech. That means that glass actually tints with the sun.
That's
So
wonderful.
that cuts down on the air conditioning. So everything on this is gonna be high tech, even the sound quality is something you never heard of. Yep, yeah.
I just want to thank you once again because
Okay.
I see some wonderful things and the possibilities that this could bring to our community. I mean, a different place for our tiger proms. Just great photography stuff that can go on, weddings even. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
thank you for your presentation.
Okay.
You know, they say it was, I hear it wasn't somebody of another color who killed Martin Luther King or had him killed. It was his own people. And it's amazing that we fight against each other more than we fight against other people. People sit in the courtroom and don't say nothing. sit there scared and don't even clap. But then to come to a Benton Harbor meeting and act. I apologize for that presentation and what has happened tonight. And I take it upon my shoulders of what has happened. But I guarantee that if you do that at the county and present that, same people won't say nothing. Go ahead, talk. You got
Well,
last-
something
you got
else,
last
some-
week.
something else that you struck from the agenda. I happen also to be a county commissioner. And you mentioned something about the Barron County Equalization Department.
He was supposed to be here tonight.
Well, no, but I want to tell you something that you struck. I am the commissioner, excuse me. I am the commissioner that asked the question about this, the assessment, about can you access or can you stop the assessment? I'm one asking this, that you could do anything you want to do. But just because you don't assess, don't mean that you can't access. So one reason I asked that question, because Benton Harbor has one of the highest millage rates in this county. Not only that, we got an income tax. But if we don't access, maybe we stand be the ones right here that's attractive to rebuild, because if we don't access, but that don't mean if it don't work that we can't do it. So now I'm just going to give you insight of what that. But I asked that question when the county assessor was making the presentation to the commissioners.
Thank you, sir.
Okay.
Appreciate that greatly. Hey, really, that's a whole nother form and a whole nother conversation.
Well, that is, but I just want to let you
Yeah,
know.
well, it's a whole nother conversation because the highest tax, we're the second highest tax in the state
Okay.
and the highest unemployed.
Yes.
So anytime somebody comes with employment opportunities, we do want to listen.
Okay.
But when you start saying snag to housing, it's intentional, because the less you have housing, the less you have voters. And if you don't have any voters, then next thing you know, downtown takes over your in-town. And again, nobody says nothing about that. You got people running right now that ain't nobody saying nothing about, because they don't even know nothing about.
Yeah.
That's gonna sneak in one of these seats. And next thing you know, we're gonna be back to where we was in the early '80s, the late '80s, where you had a mayor who gave everything away to his brothers.
Like all the others.
So, let's move on. Discussion MBK, Jen Summit, Michigan letter, 2019, and keys to the city.
MBK?
Yes, please.
Thank you. Actually, I thought that this was going to arrive in the form of a resolution to go before the full body for approval of some letters that was sent, as an invitation to Governor Whittemire and Mr. Michael Smith of Obama Foundation to greet us with their presence of the summit that we're hosting out at the Mental Center November the 1st.
City Manager Watson,
Yes, sir. I'm sorry.
I think I heard you say something about resolution.
We can get a resolution ready for the next commission meeting, to have it with the letters on it in support of asking the two people that were identified to be at the, summit in November.
Thank you.
Can we, if I may,
Mr. Adams.
Chair, add to that? I don't know the process, but it would really be wonderful if we could actually, I don't know if we're gonna have a surprise guest or not, but if we could give Obama Foundation the key to the city, if we could award,
That's a good vote. I think
That's the commission's decision.
okay, can you add that on the resolution?
Can we add it on a separate resolution?
Well, separate resolution,
That's fine.
thank
Could
you.
you bring that forward, please?
Yep.
Dr. Sines has something to say on that MBK.
Right, I just wanted to make sure that the Honorable Chair, that the information that the city manager is equipped, since we don't have any documentation or any for the presentation other than this here, and it seems that the city manager hasn't been given all the full details. So just want to make sure that he has all the full details for the event, and so that the resolution can be very meaty and forthcoming to educate and so we can elaborate, so we can celebrate this event.
Thank you. The thing that I think Dr. Thompson's saying is that basically when we have a resolution to present, it needs to have some teeth to it to make it look good, so that we're doing something professional, not something thrown together. Please, clerk, note that Public Safety Director Dan McGinnis is here at 6:05.
Just for clarity, this is something that we've been working on, and I felt like it was a great time for Benton Harbor to host the next summit. The last one was in Flint, and there were letters for each commissioner. And as a matter of fact, I'm missing a conference call with One Love Global out of Lansing that's been helping to put the event together. One Love Global, actually, the city of Benton Harbor Personnel and Finance Committee decided not to direct City Manager Watson to put in anything in the budget to put something towards this event. But One Love Global actually obtains funds for the hosting of these events in different cities every year. And I've been working behind the scenes on this for a very long time. And it's not for, we're not turning anybody down in the community, but it's basically for the young leaders, which are our youth. And we're going to have the event as a, kind of like, we wanted it to be hosted at the high school, but there will be other seniors and juniors coming from other communities, which is why we're going to use the main stage as well as the other functioning hall at Lake Michigan College. It's basically for the students, and it'll be like a field trip day.
Thank you, Commissioner Adams.
Good evening to everyone, the chair and committee, all the residents out here. My name is Jerry Edwards. I would just like to, I guess, remind the committee that they might be able to remind the full body. When we say, I know there's a tie-in between MBK, Men of Color, and I just would like to remind you that when that is said and then when it is seen, to make sure that we do have men of color from this community that we can put in the front. I have seen times where certain things start off and it gets tied into, oh, we can get this much money, so let's go get somebody somewhere else to be the front so we can get that money. And then the people who really got to do the work, they suffer. I'm all about the youth. All about the youth. But we got to have somebody in the front to guide them youth. Because that is a slope that you have to be careful. Even though we say that's Barack Obama, he's black, I understand that, but he won't be here to overlook it. We're going to have to overlook that. So we better make sure that whoever is that face in the front, first of all, the youth got to trust them. Second of all, with the youth trusting them people that's working with those youth, they better have a whole lot of patience. Because if you don't have patience with some of these youth, unless we just hand-picking who's going to be in it, but if you opening it up to every youth, it's some of them youth you're going to have to work with for 5, 6, 7, 8 years before they even change. Some of them you might die before they change.
Thank you, Mr. Edwards.
So, oh, we got a 3-minute turn?
No, go ahead.
When it comes to passion, hey.
I want to appreciate the comments.
Yeah.
That was great.
So we better make sure that when that summit is over and they going back to wherever they from, we better have somebody here that can stand and take bullets for those youth.
Okay, can I answer, Mr. Evans?
No, let him finish.
Oh,
So if somebody's shooting at them youth, somebody better be up and stand and say, hey, look, dude, you gotta come through me life or death. And I'm saying this with experience from Robert Taylor. Did it for 36 years. I done had guns put in my head to defend youth. So unless we willing to get somebody to stand in front of them that say, hey, my life is on the line for the youth, you can think about the rest. Oh, you got a question. I'm sorry, my bad.
No, not a question. I just want to give you clarity on some of your concerns, which I greatly appreciate. And that's that this thing is, the children are running this, the youth. We're in the school now.
Who's the adult?
We have the teacher that oversees the children, the youth that just made the video.
Tracy.
And some others. Sharp Foundation, she's in the school, she's been a great
Do we have any men?
asset. A great asset, yeah, Mr. Danny Jennings.
Yeah.
Yes, everybody, you know how this thing has started out.
Oh, yes, but
And it's moving.
Yeah.
It's moving and it's going to continue to move, and as I stated before, when the funding comes about, those that have access to an email, I asked everybody to please contact me being the remaining point of contact, because it don't take everybody and it'd be all over the place. You can't have 20 people on a phone conference call talking about different issues and voicing different things. I've spoke for the community and let them know that what we needed. The foundation is actually de-weeding and going through different grants according to what they've been told that our community needs, and they're showing up. We're not.
So
We're not showing up.
that was my thing.
No, y'all not showing up.
Thank you.
Mary Alice is.
Oh, I'm here. I'm here for all colors. Without pay.
Me too. 5 years strong. MBK.
Wait for y'all to finish. Thank y'all for your participation. You know, it's hard to say. You know, when you start pointing fingers,
Ooh.
a lot of fingers pointing back. I don't think nobody breaking records in the city. When you got child trafficking and everything else going on and people getting snatched up, ain't nobody saying nothing about it. Kids getting undereducated, ain't nobody standing up. Stand up for what we want to stand up for. But what's really the real deal is a lot of people sitting up here and go off. But if you give them a sandwich and a bag of peanuts and a juice, they'll tell you you can have everything you want. I've seen that happen in this building, and I stand on that. A lot of these projects that have gone on in the future, people have passed these projects and then come back as militant as Black Panther Party in this room, and they give them a couple Cheetos and a juice, and they chill out in public. So I take all of it, but I'd rather go hungry. They had a meeting at the charrette, and I got witnesses here. That charrette meeting where they tried to line everybody up and tell us what we needed for the harbor authority. I didn't drink a juice, I didn't take a chip, and I didn't take a cookie. And I walked home from there.
Point of order, aren't we talking about MBK?
Yeah, why are we talking about?
No, because y'all was there and you was eating. So let's stop playing the game like we ain't with
Point
it.
of order, Chair. Point of order, Chair. Point of order, Chair.
This is my
Point of order.
meeting.
Point of order, Chair.
Charette,
We've been through this twice.
The charrette.
So ain't no use in faking it. Ain't no use in faking it until we make it. Harbor Shores Golf Course was not voted on by me,
Me.
but there's people who say they hate Harbor Shores, but they voted on it. And this next,
Point of order, Chair.
Yeah, where y'all went?
I'm the chairman of this meeting, how you wanna order and something I'm saying?
Because you're off topic.
Because you're off topic.
Let's move on.
And what I was,
City Manager
Sure.
Marshall, did you say you got the resolution prepared for that meeting?
I haven't read it.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
We're gonna go
Chair.
on, we're gonna go on and talk about the apprenticeship program. Please, sir, would you come forward? Thank you. Thank
Honorable
you.
Chair, I still needed a point of clarity,
On what?
point of clarity on the parliamentary rules and, now in terms of the state level, I can comment on in terms of, excuse me, what I'm asking is this, that normally with presentations, I need to know from, on the municipality level, that I work on the state and federal level, that presentations are done just like, and discussions are done like, Mr. Meeks had done, Commissioner Meeks. So what I want to understand, so when I look and I see discussions, that means that there's no data, no substance, no presentation. It's just off the topic where I don't have anything to read, to study, to analyze. That's what I want to know. So the municipality level, when it says discussion, that is just verbal discussion with no documentation, no presentation. And then when I see presentation, then I know that there is something to review and to analyze. I just wanted that correction. Is that how it works on the municipality level?
Thank you, Dr. Sines. If the staff agrees to present a resolution after we've had dialogue about it, then it's presented to the full body to be voted on. Presentation can come along and we don't even vote on the presentation. They're just bringing us the information to be voted. But when it's asked by this body to push it on to the full body, then we bring forth a resolution. Is that correct, City Manager?
Yes, sir.
Honorable Chair, I was asking about discussion. Is there documentation in the presentation for discussion, or there's no documentation when the title of discussion is used? There's nothing to be reviewed when it says discussion. That's what I want to know. Is there a presentation or something of substance to be reviewed when something is listed as discussion?
MBK and
Yeah.
Jim?
Oh,
Is that what it's?
is there needed necessary to have documentation for discussion in order for it to turn into resolution?
It's not. Commissioner Adams provided a letter Monday night to all the commissioners, and we brought it to committee. It was brought to committee to be done, and then a resolution presented. There's a resolution that is my understanding that this resolution is in support of the summit, the letters being sent, and also for a key to the city. That's what I'm understanding. That's pretty much standard stuff. There's nothing that's unique about it, other than the name that we're putting in it. So if there's some more information that Commissioner Adams would like to provide relative to the event and things of that nature, that's fine. That'll be there. So, okay.
Do me a favor, just moving forward, just have document. Do you have a resolution that you already have that you can document?
For
Honorable Chair, this is not for a specific event, this is just for normal policy procedure for the meeting. In discussion, is there presentation information for discussion? I'm not talking about a particular, I'm not talking about MBK. I just want to know, for the title of discussion, is there going to be something to physically be reviewed, or is it just conversational? I want to know, is it going to be paper or just wind?
Can it be paper or wine?
it can be both. I mean, it is, if you want to have a discussion relative to a topic, if you want to bring documentation to support the discussion, that's possible. If you have the knowledge base of the discussion, you want to have a discussion of it, that's possible. That has been how this committee and how this government is operating.
Thank you,
Thank you for the clarity.
well, this is the purpose of having the committee meeting, and the reason why we said that we didn't want it brought from the floor, which we tried to bring a resolution to say to bring it from the floor during commission night, because in a committee meeting, we can therefore put legs to it, paper to it, but it does help us as a committee if it does have legs to it, and paper to it, just as if this presentation by our dear brother. Thank you for coming.
First of all, Mr. Chairman, I want to say thanks for having me, and I promise you, I'm going to be brief.
Thank you.
I want to talk about Construction Laborers Local 355. We've been around for over 100 years. I want to kill the myth that they didn't know that there was a presence of a union in this area. We cover 21 counties. We cover all of lower West Michigan. And I just want to speak to what it takes to get into our apprenticeship program, talk about the application requirement, the length of the program, and the wage and advancement. And it's a simple program. You know, you must be 18 years old. You know, you may be required to take a drug test. Must be physically able to perform the work. You need to have a good attitude and be willing to learn. And you need to understand the importance of punctuality and being at work every day. And here's the kicker here, because this is the main problem that we run into all the time. You have to have reliable transportation. If you don't have reliable transportation, this is not going to work for you. Because you could be working for one contractor, and Commissioner Meeks knows this, and you could be working for this contractor for 4 hours in the morning, and later on in the evening you might have to drive over to Niles or down to Kalamazoo to go to work. It's a pretty simple program, and that's kind of the requirement in a nutshell. The length of the program is a 4,300 hour program. It takes 1,000 hours for each increment to, what was that?
No.
Oh, I thought you had a question. Well, anyway, it's 4,000 hours of diversified training, work out in the field, doing the practical end of it, and there's 300 hours of classroom training to hit your full journeyman status. Our program is slightly different than most trades. Theirs is based on years, ours is based on hours. You can hit your journeyman status probably within 3 years, depending on how many hours that you work. And the benefit of being a union laborer is exactly what I just said, benefits. The pension, the health care, the annuity, the vacation, all that, mind you guys, is not one taxpayer dollars that pay for any of that. It's all self-funded by cents per hour through our signatory contractors. That's the good part about what we do. And we want to be here to provide not just job opportunities for these folks, career opportunities for these folks. We have 4 training centers throughout the state. Main facility is in Perry. We got one in Wayne over in the metro area, then Iron Mountain up in the UP. And we just recently, a year and a half ago, opened up one over in St. Joe at 211 Hilltop Road. Anybody is welcome to come over there, take a tour of it. If you guys know of any young folks in this community that would be an asset to the laborers, we do take non-members and train them too. So that's kind of it in a nutshell. If anybody got any questions, I'll take some questions, because I really do have to get out of here.
What's the phone number that you can be reached at?
I can be reached on mine. I'm gonna give you my cell number. They can call me directly on my cell. It's 269-317-4497. And I'll also give you my office number. 269-962-8010. If anybody, we put that out a year and a half ago to come take a visit of that training facility. So the opportunity is there. We just need the people to come to it.
Mr. Adams?
Thank you, and thank you.
You welcome.
Thank you. I happen to be a fan of the locals, the ones that's going to have to rebuild America. And what we need in our community basically is gaining some of these young men and women to gain some structure and a foundation to get up and go to work every morning. And being married to one of a local, he has trained some young men that have went on to get their journeyman cards and stuff. And it can give you a nice, comfortable life. I asked my husband once before if he could get with his local and have them to bring some type of school or something down here. Thank you. My question is, would you take into consideration partnering with the city of Benton Harbor to work towards building some homes? And getting some of these youngsters to on-hands training in this community?
I think they're more labor, they're more different labors than contract.
Different types,
Well, there's several different trades in what we do. We're affiliated with the building trades. When you're talking about building homes, what we would do as far as being involved in the homes is pour the concrete, work with digging the foundations. But as far as the structure of the home, the studs and building, standing up the walls, that's a totally different trade. But, you know, that's a good question to try to get some other trades down here to come give a presentation of what they do. Yeah.
That's a start.
But again, at the end of the day, these people that we train, none of our signatory contractors are a successful bidder on these projects. We have nowhere to place them. So these union signatory contractors have to win some of these projects from the city of Benton Harbor or the surrounding community.
Other times.
Okay. Thank you, Honorable Chair, through the Chair. One thing that wasn't stated in terms of the qualifications, drug testing, 1, 2, high school GED, is that a requirement? And then the second question is the average hours of training that typically that a person will cover to reach that 4,300 per year. And then the last question was, for me, I'm not in that area, so, and then it was brought out. So your particular training is exactly in what is that? So it's more broken out, is that what it is? You got?
Yeah, we do anywhere from commercial work, bridge work, industrial, remediation type work, asbestos work, underground mainline work, which is a bigger pipe, a 36, 32-inch pipe. I'm sure you guys was familiar when they had that oil spill up in Battle Creek when Enbridge did all that work. We were part of relaying that pipe and all that stuff. So as far as the required amount of hours, most laborers on average work anywhere from 12 to 1,500 hours a year. That would be an average year for those folks. And they can hit those hours within 9 to 10 months. Most construction workers don't work 12 months out of the year, you know, unless you somebody been out there and networked and made a name for yourself and you're with the contractor that's keep you on steady. So starting out, you know, until that individual make a name and the contractor knows what they got in that individual, you know, it'll be a slow start for them. But I tell you what, I've been doing it for 31 years and it's provided a good life for me. I've put 3 people through college, 2 that's got master's degrees, 1 that's got a bachelor's degree. So I wouldn't have been able to do that if I wasn't working in the trades.
The other 2 parts, remember, high school GED, is that a requirement? And
That's not a requirement at all.
Okay.
You have, like I mentioned earlier, you must be 18 years of age, and it's going to require that you might end up taking a drug test.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's a pretty simple program to get into. We don't, when they put the requirements there, they went in there putting this requirement there with the mindset of not putting any roadblocks in front of folks. Because I look at our trade, we try to give people a second opportunity.
So felonies.
Yeah.
Felonies, there's jobs where we can place them, but there's also jobs where we can't place them.
Yeah.
Like at the Cook Nuclear Power Plant, Palisades, over there at Pfizer in Kalamazoo, you know, consumers over there in Holland. We can't put anybody there because they have a strict background check and felony policies over there. So there's some jobs, you know, if they're working bridge, highway work, big box stores like Myers or something like that, they get on those jobs. School jobs, they wouldn't be able to get on any of those jobs.
Thank you. Appreciate your
I
presentation.
will leave this, if I can, I'll leave this here. You guys can pass it around, take a look at it, show some of the curriculums on there and our apprenticeship program.
Hand it to
Thank you.
clerk.
Commissioner Henry?
Yes. He said on lot of things, especially about contractors. Now, back in the day, we got a lot of union contractors. They would come in and bid for the jobs that we needed to be done. And somehow, our economic developer pushed that kind of thought away. And so, now let's go to the big money thing, income tax. We've got a lot of money to spend on projects. And some of us commissioners had an idea that we should put training, make sure that our people got some of the jobs. We've already got 2 resolutions that call for, if it's federal money, Section 3, if it's just a contractor, there's a 25% job requirement that has not been implemented.
Commissioner, can you ask, could you, just for a point of clarification, my board members are asking me, what are you talking about?
I think it's, she's talking about the contractors and having representation amongst the contractors.
Yes, I'm trying to let you know that if we seek union contractors, we could also have apprenticeship programs. Our people can be hired. Some, like 355, you don't have to have a lot to get in. The electrician, you have to have certain things, but there's quite a few union contractors. We do have one in the city. He gets a lot of work, Pearson, and it's probably a couple more. So, but I really want us to concentrate on training our people. With all of this income tax money, I don't want to see it just being given out to the ones that are come in and they take the money and they never hire any of our people. So their excuse has been for the last 20 years is that they cannot find any qualified people. So I'm saying that if we have an apprenticeship program, that automatically makes some of those people trainable.
Thank you.
So that's the reason why I asked 355 to come. So we could know that we really need to put some training into everything that we do, which requires jobs.
Thank you. I do appreciate that. I think one of the main things is you gotta unhandcuff the money from these contractors downtown that refuse to hire minorities. I mean, you got a contractor, Avenue Marshall don't hire nobody. Until you get done with Avenue Marshall, you'll never, be able to hire the contractors, because I think they do the hiring of the contractors, right? I mean, you had one of your employees tell me that you're not gonna call, only contract you're gonna call is BNZ, and nobody said nothing. Nobody posed to fight anything. He said the only person you're gonna call is BNZ because he trusts him. So.
Honorable Chair, we asked the city manager, is that correct? Does Adamar hire the contractors?
Marsh does not hire anybody for the city. Marsh makes recommendations, but Marsh does no hiring for the city.
So when development comes through the city of Benton Harbor, after Marsh does the evaluation or does the design, who then picks the contractor? We did not pick the contractor for the pavilion. The contractor was picked. And I don't never remember voting on it. Maybe y'all did vote on it, but I wasn't here.
When you get contractors, it's RFPs that go out for contractors, and then there are bids that are submitted. And typically the low bid is the one that gets the job.
Who's the contractor? City Manager Watson is working out there now doing the pavilions.
That was Pearson.
Pearson hired minorities.
Pearson does hire minorities.
Did you see minorities working out there?
I didn't watch it to that degree, but Pearson does hire minorities.
One,
You seen one?
one.
That's good enough.
Not really.
Thank you. City Manager Watson. So RFP goes out, it does not come back to the commission to be voted on.
The commission typically votes on the project, and then the scope of the work, the nuances and what goes on after that is handled at the administrative level. So that's what happens typically. Commission sees.
Even if the contract is over $5,000, we still do not come back.
You approve the project.
So even though we approve the project, we don't approve the contract. Is that correct?
As a part of the project overall approval, you approve the bidding of it, the letting of it, and that goes forward.
Because I remember we passed legislation that any time the federal dollars was used, a certain amount of that money was supposed to go to city workers or people from within the city to work. And if not, then a percentage of that money was to come back to the city.
Allegedly.
No, that wasn't voted on.
Section
We passed
3.
that. Section 3.
It has
Is
been
that, is Section
enforced.
3 still on our books?
Of course it is.
Yes,
Have we been following Section 3?
we have been executing that Section 3, and what has happened is a lot of times, Commissioner, is that what Section 3 also says is that if you have to hire, so it does not say that just, if you get a job, it does not say that the person who gets it has to, if you don't have to hire new people, then it can be, you can do what you need to do with the persons that you have. But it does say if you do need to hire new people, then new people need to come from your community. If not, then that money that needs to be put in there based on the value of the project. But what happens is, a lot of times is these jobs do not require extra people to be hired. So you see where that comes into play.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. I'm sorry, City Manager. Dr. Times.
Honorable Chair, we have Section 3, so therefore can the screening be done or a commitment similar to what's done in the city of Detroit to make sure that there is community representation prior to signing the contract? Because I think the Camara Park project, they, I guess to a similar Section 3, they came in fully stocked, making sure that there was no residents from Detroit being used. But in their section, they enforced that there had to be a certain percentage from Benton Harbor, and as a result, they were fined several $100,000. Is there a financial penalty if this agreement for your Section 3 of City of Benton Harbor violated? Is there any?
There is, and what I would suggest that if Section 3 is something we want to discuss, we need to bring it to the committee in its entirety so it can be all vetted and looked at.
Because well, Section 3 just needs to be enforced. I mean, we can bring it back to the committee, just enforce it. And that's way off the topic. We got people here out of town want to present. So, Commissioner Henry.
Okay, if we're gonna talk about Section 3, let's talk about the resolution for the 25% as well. Because there's one is federal money and it's 100,000 or more, and the other one is 25% of anything that we contract out as a city. So it could be the tuck work, whatever it is that we should have 25% going to locals.
Let's bring that to legislative, if possible.
Question.
Oh, yeah, legislative.
City Manager Watson, through the chair. The percentage that was withheld for the water plant work, what happens to that?
The percentage,
Well, the Section 3, projects like that.
I would have to go back and look at what that.
I mean,
No, this is.
We're gonna visit this in another meeting.
trying to figure out how it works.
Thank you.
Okay, so my question is, are these going to be enforced? Or are we,
Section 3.
it's on the books,
Yes,
but are we enforcing it? Or
Section,
are we going to continue to do business as usual?
no, Section 3 is gonna be a part of legislative.
It's already on the books.
But the enforcement of it, I think we need to put the teeth in it and make sure that our city staff is doing it. If not, then we need to find out how to get it done. Resolution on the moratorium of recreational marijuana.
Yeah. Okay, there you go.
My question real quick. Thank you.
What is that? Is that refund? That's a whole different conversation.
I would ask of this body and of this commission, before we even present this, number one, is this the right committee to bring this to? For recreational and also for moratorium, I think that's more legislative. Is that not legislative for us to bring that through that committee? I mean, if it's setting legislation, then I think
It's a
that,
part of community economic development.
how do we do that? How do you make it a part of economic development?
So you have, so marijuana, if you're talking about economic development, businesses economic development. We were asked to put a resolution together for this purpose, for the moratorium of recreational marijuana facilities in the city of Benton Harbor. And I think the purpose of bringing it to this committee is to have a discussion relative to, is that what the commission wants to do? Is that what the committee is recommending? So based on the charge I was given, I put it together for the purposes of discussion at this committee level.
I do have concerns, but I will allow the two gentle ladies to speak on this. I do have concerns that a lot of times we have put the cart before the horse, and this is not the committee for this to be brung through. We opted in, or we've always played a part in this. I think that what happens is somebody tells us what we need to do, and then we come back and say we gotta do it. But I would hope that we bring this to legislative, and hopefully we can articulate what this is gonna be about. Because if not, then I would ask that you bring it to another committee. I would say Commissioner Adams, then Dr. Tynes, then Commissioner Henry.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. First of all, understand what a moratorium is, and it's just basically freezing anything, because since recreational marijuana has come into play, we have not opted out or in. And what we want to do is put a freeze on anybody in our community of trying to open and operate in the form of.
One of the things, Commissioner, the state legislation that was passed said any recreational marijuana facilities cannot operate until after December 6th of 2019. Anyway.
Okay, but we just want coverage.
Yeah, so
that it's clear to anybody that gets any idea.
Oh, and that's
they're up and operating or thinking about it.
Yeah, so if they did it, they'd be in violation of state law.
Exactly.
And that would
City
be,
as well.
I mean,
right.
What?
I thought you would like this.
No, well, I mean,
Stopping.
well, no, y'all broke WNDU here, so we can have a show one day. My only statement is this, again, this keeps being brought to this committee, but if it's not beyond state law, then people are already coming, and we're taking applications from people, and we charging people.
So there's two elements here, Commissioner Seats. The medical marijuana we have already opted into. We did that December of 2017. So the city said we will allow medical marijuana facilities in the city limits with these criteria. Recreational has been passed subsequent to that. And we're still in a state of limbo as it relates to what the state of Michigan is going to require. But what they are saying is this: if you don't, as a community, opt out, you're automatically in.
So y'all wanna opt out, that's what you're saying?
And the other thing to note to that is this: if a referendum is put to the voters, even if you opt out, the voters can overturn your decision. So that's just to let the community know that it's not a foregone conclusion. If we opt out, that it will stay opted out.
But, Mr. Commissioner, Dr. Tynes, I'm sorry.
Okay. Just procedurally, moratorium is normally an action item and a legislative item. So that's where I'm having, I don't have a problem with the whole marijuana issue, but if this is gonna be taking action, then I think the appropriate committee would be a legislative committee to make an action. And it says here, and to place a moratorium on any facility, that's an action item, that's a restriction. So that's not a recommendation or a discussion. This is asking for an enforcement of a set item. So I don't think it's proper for this committee. I think this is an action item that should be in a legislative body. On the state level, I can tell you that it would be under this legislative. It would not fall into other categories.
But from what I'm hearing, that development on Main Street that everybody seems to know about, they're not planning on doing medical. So we probably need to go back to our people and talk to them before you start passing legislation. But go ahead, Commissioner. Go ahead.
I didn't quite understand what you just said, Chair. I need to understand what you said,
Well,
what you meant.
well, they're just in the paper. I mean, they're going to do a development right down Main Street, and they ain't planning on doing no medical. I mean, you can, you know.
Okay,
obviously what they gonna
okay.
do.
Well, let me bring it back to everybody's memory that we did come through legislative committee with this as a discussion. And at that time, we got a lot of pushback from the city manager, whoever was sitting over there. They said that the state was making regulations on it and we should wait. So somebody else come up with the thought that someone's coming and they have every right to do what they're doing. They're doing it all over the Michigan now. If you buy a balloon for $100, they give you the balloon and an ounce of weed.
As a gift.
As a gift. So now, believe me, if there's a way to do it, they will do it.
Don't give out no
But
ads.
what we need to do is to make sure that this voted on by the community allows community to get involved in it and make some money off of it. We need to know exactly where we want them to be, their operating rules, their taxes. We need to put all of that in place before, even after the state say whatever they want to say, because I can guarantee you that the state is protecting their grandkids and their nephews and nieces, and they're the ones that's going to be making the money, because we have not set ourselves up for that. So if we put a moratorium on it, no one can come into our community and do anything without our permission.
But would that remain true if we don't put the right wordage in here? After me just thinking about it, if I can buy a balloon from you and give you an ounce of weed as a gift, I mean, should something be in here in the wording to differentiate or to actually state that matter of trade? I mean, I remember it was being discussed at a forum we had with the county prosecutor and.
Yeah, I would ask, I think Deputy Director Clark has some insight, relative to the recreational side of this.
Deputy Clark, please speak to.
So, the gifting of marijuana is illegal. The current, it's illegal. It is not legal. Okay?
Gifting?
Yes, that's what it's called.
That's not what the prosecutor said.
No, it's illegal. It is against the law. The current Michigan boards at Lara that are regulating this, that have been shutting down illicit dispensaries in the Detroit area, have now started prosecuting these cases as well. Berrien County Prosecutor Mike Sepik has said, if he gets a case where you go in and purchase an item and then you get gifted marijuana, he will prosecute that. So that's not legal according to the law. So when it comes to the opting in or out, again, it's your choice. But again, the citizens can petition that and get a referendum if they want.
Thank you. So do you think this is fruitless? I mean, this has no bearing. I mean, because they're prosecuting the case. If somebody gives you a balloon and gives you an ounce of skunk, can they get prosecuted?
Yes.
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 What about an ounce of blueberry? Cotton candy.
Point of order. Point of order.
So there's no use in us even talking about this any further.
Move to
Can we
legislative.
move this to legislative?
I second it.
I think that, I just think we need to make sure that we have nothing in our little small community that we don't want.
Support.
And the state is gonna make some arrangements, but they're looking out for the state, they're not looking out for home rule community
Now
business.
we don't have a fit. I agree.
Well, can we
Support the movement.
can we move this to
It's
legislative?
moving.
Thank you. Lastly, discussion of sale, 200 Pawpaw. It come from out of town, we talk about this.
Just saying about time. I
You
agree.
apologize. Hopefully you won't hold this against us.
Thank you very much for allowing us the time.
Good evening, everyone, to the chairman, city manager, all the commission board residents. I'm Felicia Hicks and Mitch Devidock. We're from Justice Grown. We want to thank you for this time. We currently have an application for a provision center, but we wanted to look at purchasing 200 Pawpaw. And then Mitch will kind of go into what we can offer from Justice Grown and purchasing 200 Pawpaw for the community, etc. So I'll let him take it from here.
Thank you, B. As B said, we're here from Justice Grown. Justice Grown is a medical cannabis company headquartered in Chicago. We operate out of multiple states. We're operating out of 5 states right now, and we're looking to expand to Michigan and a couple other states as well. So we're a growing company. The company was founded 5 years ago by civil rights attorneys, which is where the name Justice Grown came from. The owners of the company are actually, they're lawyers. They have a law firm that they do full time. They stumbled across this business by accident. What these guys do, first let me tell you a little about the lawyers because it's quite pertinent to the story here, is they are First Amendment attorneys that fight on behalf of wrongful convictions. I don't know if you heard about Sheriff Burgess in the Robert Taylor homes where you used to, where the old Sheriff Burgess would plant drugs on the residents there in Taylor homes and arrest all of these black men and put them all in jail. And it was the founders of Justice Grown that actually just last year in October got a mass exoneration, and I believe it was 80 of those falsely imprisoned men that had drugs planted on them were freed by the owners of this company. These guys are kind of modern day Robin Hoods. You'd love them if you met them. That's what they do. They're here to fight for the common person, and social justice is their issue.
Wow.
That is what they are fighting for, and that's what they started the law firm in 1997, and they've grown it. It is now the largest civil rights law firm in the country. They represent individuals that are subject to police brutality or wrongful conviction or any sort of First Amendment rights issues. They're there to fight for them.
What's the name?
The name of the law firm is Lovey and Lovey, L-O-E-V-Y, Lovey and Lovey. And the founder of Justice Grown is John Lovey, who John Lovey's in the news all the time because he's always the one that, when they, beat up Jason Meerday, he was the one that defended the settlement, the family there. And that's just what John does and what his law firm is all about. So 5 years ago, he moved his law firm to the West Loop of Chicago. And it just turns out that he started getting, the phone started ringing, and everybody said, hey, we want to put a dispensary in the first floor of the building that you just bought for your law firm. And, and he kept on getting a couple of these calls, and he says, what's a dispensary? He doesn't, these guys are lawyers, right? So they looked into it, and they realized, oh, wow, Illinois is starting this whole, medical marijuana program. It seems, to be a growing industry. And they also realized that marijuana and social justice has a lot in common. And a lot of what their mission in freeing, quite frankly, black men that are in prison for having a bag of dope on them, and it's just not right, and it's what he wants to fight for. So he thought that getting into a social justice company that is also working with medical marijuana, that he could make a difference. So he only hires minority-based enterprises. Or women-based enterprises, mostly minority-based. We have a great track record that I can show you in the areas that we've been in so far. First of all, B is going to be running our Michigan operation, so we will start with that, and then B will be selecting members from your community to work in the facilities that we hope to open in Benton Harbor, which I'm going to talk to you about in a minute. And so that's a little bit about what we do at Justice Grown. And we always, when we build a building, we do a lot of contract work, in terms of getting the architecture done and the building supplies. We would commit to using only local and local union guys or whatever. That is what we're all about. We're all about.
Community center.
Absolutely. Well, I'll get to that in a minute. Yeah, when we start talking about the buildings, B's getting excited because we have some plans here for so what, as you know, and as you said, we're one of the applicants for a dispensary on Main Street, which is not the subject that we're here for, but we want to start a relationship with Benton Harbor, and we thought a great way to start it is we are also going to apply for a cultivation and processing license, and we would like to put our cultivation and processing center in your unused facility at 200 Paw Paw and purchase that from the city. And as B was saying, and I understand that the prior use of that building was sort of as an incubator, sort of a place for people to get started. It's right now that building might be more than we need. We'd be willing to, share the building, perhaps even host some community events there, build out half the building maybe for a community center, and then keep the other half. I mean, it's all right here. B and I took a drive around for about an hour beforehand. She showed me everything, and it's wonderful. And I really like the location of 200 Paw Paw. I've walked the building myself, and that's why we're here, is to see if we could purchase that building, and the contract that we would offer to purchase the building would have a contingency, obviously, that we would, we need to get a license, otherwise we're not operating anything there, but assuming that we win the license for the cultivation and processing center, and we would immediately move that into Paw Paw and start improving the building, start employing the local people, And then we can also talk about, you know, having a justice-grown community involvement if we can put a dispensary too on Main Street, and we can sell our products there.
Question?
You want to add anything, B?
I'm sure they, like they got some questions.
No, I'm ready to answer all kinds of questions, please.
We're only probably 5 years behind, but probably more than that, but, C. Buchanan, Niles got them up and operating.
Yep.
Up and operating.
Yeah, lots of.
And I'm sure we have probably more potholes than they do.
And
I think
this
we got
brings in
enough
a lot of
to
tax
probably give
revenue.
some more to some other communities.
Lots of tax revenue comes from
Yeah,
this stuff.
yeah.
So we're talking jobs, tax
Yeah.
revenue,
But more than
community
anything,
involvement.
more than anything, when I started this journey back in 2000, it was all about families against mandatory minimums. I didn't know that it was going to go as far as it did, but I'm grateful. But I learned something else along the way when I saw a family watching the evening news pack up their whole life and move out to Colorado and watch them inject the CDC oil in this baby's mouth that calmed down seizures. I lost a child that I had to watch epileptically for years.
Childhood seizure, yeah. That
Yes.
is huge.
But
right now.
she's at peace now, and I'm okay with that. But I continue to fight because there's some other children just like her. And if you don't have one,
Thank you.
count your blessings.
Thank you for sharing, because I've heard in my time in this business countless stories of
Yes,
medical benefits
yes.
of
And,
medical care.
and not only that, I constantly research it and I'm learning more. I mean, about asthma, so many different things. And the
Glaucoma.
pharmaceutical companies that's been killing people for years, yeah, their prescriptions are about up.
Yep.
Yeah, their prescriptions are about up. I just, thank you.
Thank you.
For your interest, anyway.
Dr. Science.
Thank you. Just 3 questions. First one, well, I'll do these other ones first. The first, the most important for me, as a scientist, what procedures do you have in place to secure the percentage of the CBD versus THC? Initially, when this was used throughout internationally and throughout the world, the percent of CBD was like 70% or better, and very almost like 1 to 3% THC at that particular time. And that's actually the medical benefits of it. Since that time, and in some studies and some raids, they found that a lot of the product that's being out there is more THC, which has no benefit whatsoever. And so there's, what I understand, there's supposed to be some purification testing that's supposed to be done, and especially that's important if there's runoff and you can't go that into just a regular tap water drain. What if you have a high THC content? So that percent. The second part is putting the pen to the paper to the wood, and saying about signing the contingency that you actually will write the check that your mom has written in terms of outreach. That you can say that this facility, that we will actually use this amount and then allow this to make sure that these outreaches are done. So that, the reason I only say that, not of disrespect, because historically, especially in this city, people always came and promised a bag of goods, and once they got it, they ignored them, and there was no enforcement of the contract. So by putting that down black and white, do that. And the last thing is just making sure that we're clear historically, because the implementation of minority, that is a specific term federally, and that related to the individuals who had land taken away, and one group of people who had mass extermination. I know the African American population, the Native people, the mainland islands, and the mainland Puerto Ricans. Then under the administration of Ronald Reagan, they made the woman a minority, so she became a double minority, and therefore in terms of the African American presence in a lot of areas disappeared. So when you say hiring of African Americans, and then you mentioned about women, so are you including the African American male in your statistic? Because for the most part they were using females as a double minority to displace the African American male workforce.
Thank you for those questions. Yeah, no, those are great questions. I'll take your last one first, just because it's going to be fresh on everyone's mind. So, no, and I could tie that into to one of the other questions too. So, we would pledge and put it in black and white that we would absolutely hire local African American males from Benton Harbor. Period. End of discussion there. We will do whatever it takes to not make this lip service. If this needs to require, extra, writing and contingencies and in the contract, then I will do so, and I will ratify it that way. That's not a problem at all. And absolutely that is why B is here. And that just shows you why we partner up. So the way we don't want to be just the out-of-town guys that come in and open a dispensary. We want to be the local dispensary that partners up with the local people, and that's how we hope to win. That's how we hope to differentiate ourselves from our competitors. We don't want to be the guys that are going to come in here and tell you, we're going to tell you what we're going to do. You tell us what you want us to do. You talk to us about what hours you want us open and how much security you want, and we're going to oblige. We have never contravened any of the laws, and we've always tried to. That's been our strength, and the way that we've been able to succeed and grow as a company so fast is that we partner up with our local municipalities, and we find ourselves very successful.
Thank you.
And I'll answer your other question. I'll do it very quickly because I know you're for the percentages. So and this is now part of state law, that all marijuana or cannabis that is produced has to go to a lab to get tested. The test actually indicates what the percentage of CBD and versus THC is. That legally has to go on the labels that we put on our processing facility, so it would have a label. In terms of the benefits in the store, I hear you. We actually sell, usually, we have mixtures called 1-to-1, 4-to-1, 1-to-4. We offer, meaning one part THC, 4 parts CBD, or 4-to-1, depending on what your doctor would talk to you about for your symptoms, what would be most needed. The THC does have some medical benefits, albeit I agree with you, the CBD is where most of it comes from, but there is some studies that, so we offer both. We offer the ability for the patients to, if they want pure CBD, they could have pure CBD. We have that as well.
Look like we got one of our constituents ready to go with you right now.
No free samples today.
No free samples.
Yeah, that's
Mr. Bishop, come on. Yes, sir.
My name is Jamie Davis, and I'd like to ask you, I know that marijuana is a plant, so what makes it medical marijuana? What makes it medical marijuana?
That's a great question. So the only difference between what we term medical marijuana versus recreational marijuana, there is no difference in the plant whatsoever. It's in the law that would restrict who could use it. So when you were in a quote-unquote medical marijuana state, you would need a medical card in order to purchase the marijuana, but the plant itself is the same. There are some, like in some states, and I believe Pennsylvania might be one, where if you have the medical card, you might have access to different products than you would if you were just recreational. I don't believe the Michigan laws are that mature yet to be able to distinguish, but to answer your question, in the short run, there's no difference in the plant. It's just who can buy it.
Okay, so do you have a connection with Monsanto? Where do you get your seeds from? Because I know Monsanto is a company that wants to take over marijuana worldwide, and their seeds destroy everything else that's natural.
Yeah, typically we don't have a relationship with any seed company. We typically start our plants from clippings from a known reputable.
So it's natural.
It's absolutely natural. Yeah.
Palms.
Thank you. Sir.
Okay, sir. Now, we've used in the medical field, we've used Marinol before, and and historically it was CBD. So you're saying that now medical marijuana could just be anything, could be THC, because I would need to see the new data on THC, because on the legislative level, on the state level, that we're reviewing this in terms of the negative impact and health factors associated with THC. Now, the CBD has been long substantiated for its medical benefits and also in surgery and other issues that way. I even use it myself to treat male breast cancer. But in terms of THC, other than the hallucinogenic to make forgetfulness, stuff like that, I would need your data showing the medical benefits of THC. So what you made a statement is that marijuana is just marijuana.
Yeah, no, I was trying to, first to answer your question, I can try to get you some data, and I can get you some data on what they're showing. And the tests are, it's a new industry, so it's not going to be, and there's also federal laws prohibiting federal studies to be done on marijuana. But we can get you some statistics that show the THC can be beneficial. The reality is, if the patient needs 100% CBD, they will just get 100% CBD. That is not a problem. That is absolutely one of the products that we offer. I was just giving this gentleman a little answer to his direct question that there is no physical difference in the plant between the two. It's just a name.
It's all hot process.
Correct.
Thank you. City Manager Watts, how long has the building been on the market?
Oh boy. When Mr. Saunders, so 2013.
Since 2013?
Yes, sir. That's when it
Last
first
time
went.
it's been fully utilized?
2012?
2012 was the last time it's been fully utilized.
Correct.
What was it on the market for? Right now as we speak?
You would ask the question. That I don't know. Give me a minute. Ask-
750,000.
While he's looking at it.
How much?
No, 750,000.
It was on the market. Just give me one quick second. Because I don't want to get into the
He's looking at it.
schematics of medical versus recreational.
Nope, I just have one question.
And Commissioner Adams?
And that's just basically, are you the scientist that breaks it down in the lab?
No.
I didn't think so, thank you, sir.
Thank you.
We'll cross that bridge when it comes.
Yeah.
Right now, we're.
Thank you. So right now-
building.
Yeah,
So right now where we're at
Jesus.
is that we have a corporation that has come who says they're willing to do, and quote me if I'm wrong, and somebody help me if I'm wrong. Thank you, Commissioner. They're willing to hire locals, which ain't nobody else bringing. They're willing to also invest in recreation. And when we say recreational activities, we mean for youth activities in the community. Is that what you're talking about? You're talking about recreational marijuana?
No.
In the community.
Yeah, in the community.
Recreation for the community?
Yeah, I mean,
Isn't this within your plan, basically,
My lab?
application?
Yeah, no, this is something, I think your application, I don't have anything to do with application. One thing I have to do right now is building. So the application process is something totally different.
Recreation.
The other thing that I would ask a question is, you said you're willing to hire minority,
yes.
right?
Yeah.
Hire minority in the community. And also
You also said African American male.
African American males, and they not gonna bust them in from Ohio.
No,
No.
from Benton Harbor.
I wish y'all told Whirlpool that, 'cause they sure busted out on that. And also, we're willing to put that in the contract, right?
Put it in writing, not just verbiage.
So all this is gonna be put in writing,
That's great.
and if and when, you don't know how much of this is, man?
I'm gonna grab it.
Please, can you grab that real quick so we can go? If the city does accept the offer, what I would ask this committee is that we do put in writing that this money immediately goes to a summer job for the kids
And some other things.
and fixing, some,
Feasibility study, Manchester being well.
well, we need to make sure we put some money towards
Yeah.
summer job, youth, employment, immediately following the acquisition. How long, if the city says okay to the sale, can you close?
Well,
Contingent upon that.
Yeah, as soon as we get, you know, the license from the state and the
So,
approval from
you
you,
get the
then
approval from the state, approval from the city, how long before you can close?
days.
Days,
You know,
cash
Days,
deal.
Yeah,
cash,
these owners can
cash
write
offer.
it, these owners can write a check for the, amount.
Cash offer.
Yes.
Commissioner Henry, you got something you wanna say? Come on, let's go.
First of all, he said the magic word. He gotta be approved by the city and approved by the state. And the state has their own regulation that they have to have possession of a building. So I think that's where they are.
They already have possession of the building.
I mean,
They
maybe.
already stated that they have a possession of the building.
They have a application in for a dispensary on Main Street. Did I say that?
You are correct.
And they already
So
have
now-
the building.
We're talking about another building. We're
Yeah.
talking about 200
Pawpaw.
Pawpaw.
Yeah.
Charles, Carl Brown's incubator.
The empty building.
Yes,
Okay.
it's empty.
Yeah.
Nassau didn't come,
Who stopped?
but now somebody else is here, so why would we do anything but accept it?
I don't wanna
It's
accept it right now.
contingency.
You can't.
You can't,
Well, you can't accept the contingency.
you can't.
I have a question. You gonna tell me I can't ask a question?
Just wait a second.
Okay, I'll wait. No problem with
Let's
that.
wait. Let's wait.
I was gonna wait in.
I appreciate you. Basically, what it is, we can, now, Mr. Duncan, if you keep disrespecting, man, you're gonna have to sit down. I'm not putting up with that.
Was I talking to you?
But you're gonna call me a fool, and I'm
You
not
was acting
playing
a
no
fool,
games,
brother.
man.
You bothering me. I know you acting a fool.
You about that to go.
Jesus.
Why don't you try that?
Well, we're not gonna talk.
Just give me a chance to ask my question so I can sit down. I'm too old to
It's too
stand up here looking
disrespectful.
at you anyway.
It's too disrespectful for an old brother to be
You
acting
being
like that.
disrespectful
It's a
and
problem, man.
I'm gonna talk to your mama about you, cause I'm
Call
gonna
her,
hurt you.
please call.
I'm telling you right now, you getting hurt, you
Please
messing
call.
with me. Cause you messing with grown men.
Contingency factor is this.
I told him.
The contingency factor is this,
You don't
is
want
that
it.
they're willing to purchase the building. Now, these people have come from out of town
And got money to spend.
and got money to spend and purchase the building.
Who else got something?
And we got time for this kind of rhetoric. You know, that's,
Point of order.
you're not pointing order,
You
nothing.
heard my question, he called it rhetoric.
The thing is that we have to conduct business. This is planning and economic development, this is not no social hall. Nobody does this nowhere else. So this is what we're saying right now,
I'm just waiting on my turn.
that we're hiring locals, right?
Yes.
Recreation for the community, you're willing to invest.
Correct,
Yes.
You're willing to hire minority African-American males
correct,
and make that a priority.
correct.
All right, then what we're saying
And put it
is,
in writing.
and putting in a contract form.
We're trying to do a motion to
I just would ask this body, really, to, Commissioner, you spoke,
I'm done.
thank you. You done?
My recommendation is that we move it forward to the full body for study or approval.
Recommendation has been made by Dr. Tynes to move it forward for approval and the study. What we need the price from the city manager. When it comes with the price, seems like he's coming right now.
180,000 was the last one listed at on.
Lastly, it was listed at 180,000
In October of 2016.
in October of 2016.
Yep.
Negotiation.
We're prepared to pay $175,000.
You're prepared to pay $175,000 cash,
Yes.
which would be immediate, and you'll close on that within days of you receiving your license from the state
Absolutely.
and the city?
I'll be running over here as fast as I can.
Within days,
Yes, yes,
you'll be willing to close.
yes, absolutely.
Um,
Wire you the money.
you have anything else you wanna say about it? You have anything else you wanna say about it? Thank you for coming. Meeting
Thank you
adjourned.
very much for having us.